Hello, you're listening to A Peasant's Voice with artist activist Justin John Sheck. I'm Justin John Sheck, and news the past month. This is now a monthly show. To be honest, I had a manic episode and I had to stay away from the... I realized the rollout to the show was not supposed to be presented about, I wasn't supposed to be ranting about Nazis. The working, attacking the working class. I love the working classes too. But, when you're manic, you're a Mr. Hyde. You're Dr. Jekyll. When you're yourself and depressed, Dr. Jekyll is depressed. That's okay. People do that. But the problem is I get manic and you become like... See, the guy who wrote it was doing a shit ton of coke. That's how he came up with the idea. He's like, he turned into Mr. Hyde. I don't do coke. But it's like a person that's on coke, arrogant, aggressive, an asshole, Most people on coke are like that. They're just like arrogant pieces of shit. Because that's what it does to you. That's why when I did it once, I hated it and never did it again. But the point is, I'm sorry about the delay. It's a little after May 1st. I wanted to make sure it was done on May 1st. But I'm going to be covering April, what's transpired, and I'm a little into this week, because I'm starting late. And the next show will come June 1st. And the next episode, and then sort of a continuation of Blue Collar Diaries, the 4 concept albums, and the film that I wrote and screened and rewrote and redid and edited. Never underestimate the power of editing, especially after you get feedback from the people. The people know best. But the point is, the rollout was aggressive and angry. It was Mr. Hyde. So today I'm Dr. Jekyll. I'm back. I can do the podcast again. And not offend people. I took the first episode, I redid the first episode, and the second episode, still angry, but it's at least projected towards the ruling class, the Donald Trumps of the world who never worked a day in their life, just yell at people. Hire people smarter than them to run their companies, and then... Donald Trump didn't do that, he just ran everything into the ground because he's a moron. We'll get to that later. Why I know that. I listen to him talk. That's why I know that. I don't listen to the liberal media. I'm not, as I said in an earlier episode, Reagan. This is an 80-year plan. You got to understand. What's happening now, this injustice has fallen upon women who can't. It's a natural phenomenon. You ever see a mother refuse to feed the runt of the litter? It's just a natural. Women have been doing abortions since the beginning of time. They just drink a lot and throw themselves down the stairs. And now we're back to that last resort, because it's a natural instinct to protect the child. Believe it or not, rabbits eat their babies if you come near and touch them. But they're trying to put them back in their womb to protect them. They don't know it's just a natural phenomenon. I'm sorry, it is. And there's no harm, in my humble opinion, there's no harm to this consciousness. Fetus isn't conscious. The brain isn't developed. That's where the soul is. When the brain dies, that's when the soul leaves the body. That's when the spirit leaves. If you've ever seen a movie where someone died, everything goes blank and that's it. So where did that life, where did that consciousness, where did all that go? So that's just me personally. I may draw the line differently and then behave that way. But don't become a theocratic nation that is guided by one religion's truth. I mean, I'm a Christian, but Jesus never mentioned it, and Moses didn't make his top 10. So neither did trans people or gay people. They never mentioned it. Jesus never mentioned it. So I read the Bible, and then I read the New Testament, and then that's what I do. I read the New Testament. I read when I was 13. My father gave me his Bible. My father was shoved through school because he was great at football, and he grew up on a farm and rural schooling in rural Ohio, on a farm with his grandmother and his, and he just never learned to read or write really well. He was dyslexic, undiagnosed, and just never learned to read or write really well. But the first thing he read front to back was the New Testament in Vietnam, and he underlined all the things that were important to him. And he gave me that book when I was 13, and I just knew I was a Christian. See, I'm a liberation theologist. I believe Christians are supposed to help and represent and save the oppressed, do everything they can to save the oppressed. I see the working class as oppressed. And I don't think taking it out on other working class people just because they're immigrants is a smart idea. I don't think there should be war-on-war violence against the poor. I know the disabled come next in fascism. First it's the immigrants, then it's the liberals, then it's the commies, it's the Jews, it's the, and then you have genocide. And you have an ass clown that wants to, last time the Republican Party slogan was America First was 1939. Right before World War II brought the world to its knees. And that was because America looked the other way and ignored, and there were no allies, countries. There was, I studied politics and history in college, but I never finished, and I must have never stuck. That part, wow, everything else stuck. I hear this Charlie Kirk criticize. He's just a moron. My God, that guy bothers me. He's got a photographic memory, that's all he's got. And he's a whore who sold his soul to the devil, and was like, I'll just represent the ruling class and do their bidding and be a monster and make money. I'm a monster, ha ha ha, because I can use my photographic memory for it. But he doesn't have a creative bone in his body. He's not intelligent. Photographic memory. My brother has photographic memory, and he's a genius. But that can happen. This guy is just a bona fide bulldog moron. But anyway, my point is, what I'm saying is, I don't remember exactly, but back to this 80-year plan. This was an 80-year Republican plan, because what happened was when the Civil Rights Movement happened in the 60s, when the South never forgave the Democrats, who they always voted for, hands down, and that's who represented the working class since FDR. Since FDR's switch to socialist programs. And the radical liberals, FDR, oh my God, he's elected 4 times. Everybody loved him so much. So they just never forgave the Democrats. So then the Republicans are like, okay, we can grab the racist vote. Then in the 1970s, in the middle of the night, all Republicans went from being pro-choice to pro-life. They just made up this idea that we're killing babies after they're born and just radicalized people, which was done by Reagan in the 80s when he undid the Fairness in Media Act. Everybody was lambasting his trickle-down economics bullshit. You're a tribe of 12. And one guy says, give everything to me and then I'll dish it back out. You're a moron. So you share it. Now, that guy gets exiled for being a monster. That's what it was. That's the worst thing that could happen to you in tribal environments in the first 150,000 years in our existence was exile. Because if your leg's broken, forget hunting and gathering. Predator's just going to grab your ass. Even if I have a cabin, okay. Well, then the next tribe over, what are you going to do when they want your territory? You have no tribe. You're just one. I'm Rambo. I got it. Libertarians, this is literally taught, and I went to college, political science, in the liberal colleges. They teach you, indoctrination is learning one version of reality and then sticking with it. Education is learning all versions of quote-unquote reality and realizing, coming to a logical conclusion that if it's worked for 150,000 years, working together and sharing the burden works. 40 men go out hunting. You're going to get an elk. They all split up. You're going to get plenty of food. One man goes, now near the 40, maybe I didn't shoot the elk today, kill the elk. But he shares with the whole tribe, so I don't have to worry about it. I might get the elk next month and be the hero and get the biggest portion or whatever. And there's the reward of the honor of doing it. And this is rooting for exile libertarianism. So if you sprain your ankle, you can't hunt or gather, and you better hope there's no bullshit going on because you can't protect yourself. Now you're dead. Exile is the worst thing that can happen. Everybody wants it now. Cut everybody off. The government. It's just the people sharing the burden. If you fall on your ass, we'll take care of you too. We'll help you too until you get back on your feet. That's what the safety net is for, to get back on your feet. This idea that welfare, you know what welfare is? Welfare is like if you become disabled and can't work, you get taken care of. Become elderly and can't work, you get taken care of. You're not left in exile. That's the current system. Let's undo that because that's too costly. Why don't you just want better wages? Why are you so against the evil? I'll tell you why. So yeah, Reagan undid the fairness in media doctrine in the 80s, and it flooded the AM radios with Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly's, and Rush Limbaugh's, to pollute the minds of everyone to think that Democrats are fucking evil people. Just evil by nature, and they must be stopped at all costs. They're killing babies. They want your guns. They want your children to be transgender and cats. That's when the media no longer had rules. You could just be a propagandist and sell your soul to the ruling class and just do their bidding. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide the people up, divide the working class up. The Democrats saw all the money the Republicans were getting as a reward by the business class through campaign financing, winning all the elections. All of a sudden, Nixon gets in over. Because you know why Nixon gets in? Because the South wouldn't forgive the Democrats for desegregation enforcement. And because as far as they were concerned, everything was ruined. And they put Nixon in power, gave it a try. And that's when it all started. That's when this tyranny started. It's not Trump. Trump's just executing the plan, the Project 2025 plan, that lays this all out. Exile for everyone. Indoctrination. Don't educate. Don't create a spectrum of knowledge. One thing is the truth, and by the way, it's not the truth. I understand that there's a truth, but if you convince the American people that it's all gray and that black and white doesn't exist, never mind that you need black and white to make gray. Okay, so there is a truth and a lie. They tell you you can't believe nothing, so go with the strong man who's following his gut. This guy's just following the plan that Sean Hannity sold everyone on before Trump executed it. They're the most watched news organization in the United States. This is the truth, the new truth, the propaganda. And I'm not saying the liberal media, right? The liberal media. Who's liberal? Why isn't it screaming about Medicare for all every day and the 99%? That's a liberal. The 99.9% of us who are all working hard. And maybe some of us get to be millionaires, but we don't get $1 billion or $1 million. If $1 trillion of the tax cuts over 10 years that Trump did, if 81% of those of $1 trillion, that's 881 billion, went to 0.1% of the population. Now, if you're a tribe and you give 80%, 86% of the deer, of the elk, to one person, that's called a dictatorship, a tyrannical system. But they just did it, and they're going to do it again. So that's what's going on today. So we got to cover the past before we cover the current a little bit on this show. That's what we're going to do. Cover the past. How did we get here? I'm going to try not to get angry. Because I know it's just not going to do it. You know, I understand it pushes people away. I get it. But there's a lot to be upset about if you know what's going on. And everybody knows what's going on. They can feel it. We're all, the rich man gets it all. Well, how do you stop that? You tax them fairly. You don't let them pay zero in taxes. He doesn't pay zero. Yes, he pays a lower percentage than you. What's he pay for Medicare? His taxes, the cap is at $150,000. And that's what they'll pay you if you're a brilliant person and a worker. That's what you're going to get for working in the middle, in management and succeeding. You're going to get about $150,000. So 100% of your income is taxed and pays into Medicare. Billionaires get stopped at $150,000. Everything they make after that is not taxed and does not go. I'm saying Medicare, and it does not go into Social Security. All that money is tax free. So their Social Security tax is 0.0000001% of their income. Your tax 100% and pay into Social Security, which doesn't pay out very much because of that cap. Not because it doesn't work, but because of that cap. So, and the cap, you hear the liberal media screaming about ending the cap. It's not a liberal media, it's a Democratic corporatist propaganda. Because the Democrats were getting their asses kicked by Republicans during the Reagan times when up became down and left became right. When they convinced the people, give everything to the ruling class and we'll take care of you, and now it's the Gilded Age again. So you convince the people that that's the economic system that benefits them. Well, how is giving 86% of the deer $861 billion to 0.1% of the population? Is that enough? No, they got Trump elected so that they could get one more. Let's keep that trillion better. I want another 161 billion to split up between 500 of us. It's just insane. It's just insane. The burden of when you lower their taxes, when you lower corporations' taxes, the burden of sustaining the society is shifted onto the worker. Fact. You can't argue it. So their economic tax plan is bullshit. It's gross. It's negligent. It's intentional. And it's exile for everyone. Now, in the meantime, what does fascism need to convince people to do ignorant things like this? It needs control. Hegemonic people think Trump's the only truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Hegemonic people just admire their leader so much that they trust everything. No matter how loud you scream, lie. And no matter how quickly you prove it's a lie. It just bounces away because it's lost. This is the cult phenomenon. It really, truly is. And this is how people are convinced to commit genocide. Don't tell me that sending an innocent man to an El Salvadorian nightmare prison that was advertised as they'll never see an hour of the light of day again. A torturous, monstrous, you're dead, and there's murders all the time. And he sent an innocent man because you need your scapegoat to convince people the problem isn't the trillions going up, it's the billions going down. $3 a day in food stamps going down, that's the problem. Not the 861 billion that just went up. That's not the problem. It's the poor working man, the immigrant who works the ugly jobs that no one wants to work. You can pretend that you want to pick fruit or vegetables, for $2 an hour or whatever. You can pretend you want to go through the cuts and the scrapes. You ever detask with corn? It'll mess you up. So, this is just obvious to half of us, the moderates and the leftists. But we can't do anything about it because they got the moderates and the leftists disagreeing. The moderates are convinced I'm a radical nut and don't listen to me. That's just a fact. They don't hear what I say. They think I'm complaining and want free stuff. That's what they keep saying that to me over and over every time I discuss these issues with moderates. They don't seem to hear what I'm saying at all. Now, maybe I'm not articulating it well, but I think I'm pretty articulate. given a chance. When manic, I'm an asshole and angry. But that's only happened a few times, and that's generally towards family for telling me that I'm MSNBC Democrat thinker, which is just corporate Democrat bullshit, when I'm preaching the opposite of that over and over again. I'm anti-corporate. These whores speak bullshit for 10 minutes, and then they cut the commercial. And according to MSNBC, things are going well. People are turning on Trump. Nobody's going to turn on Trump. It's over. That's over. He represents the working class. He committed a coup when they reelected him. They don't care. They're not. I see through the zeitgeist of Facebook and Twitter. They're not complaining about high prices anymore. They've moved on. They don't care about reality. They think they do, and I get it. They've been in the right-wing echo chamber so long that up is down and left is right, and that right-wing echo chamber was made possible by the Republicans to execute this Heritage Foundation plan. The Heritage Foundation wrote Project 2025, which is being executed. The Heritage Foundation wrote their first publication, was embraced by the Reagan administration and executed. So now you got an innocent man, you got innocent people being kicked out of the country into new countries, just left to die. They have no train, right? They have no, what are they going to do? They don't speak to Jesus. This is death sentences. This is genocide, right? This isn't the bad operators going to jail and seeking trial and justice. This is, I don't like that person. I think he's dirty. My opinion. Get rid of him. Kill him. Send him to hell. That's what this is, see? No, I'm not getting angry. I'm sorry I raised my voice. Just trying to communicate to you how fascism works, what it's going to take to beat it. So much has happened. The genocide in Afghanistan is being funded by your tax dollars, but that's not the problem. Wiping out a whole country, I get it, you get to defend yourself. If an army, they don't have an army, if an army attacks your country, but that doesn't mean you go and you bomb every house, school, hospital. Those are war crimes, by the way. The dams, cut their electricity and food supply as a negotiation tactic, which is simply genocide in slow motion. This has been a slow motion genocide since the beginning. May is the time for, I can't remember the name, sorry, I apologize. I'm not remembering the name of the holiday, but it's a very spiritual ritual that they perform in May, or May, I think it's last 15 days. And they're doing it in tents or amongst rubble and death, destruction, and children carrying their dead siblings, 8-year-olds carrying their dead 6-year-old siblings. The only one they can hope to bury. Carrying that sibling hundreds of miles or whatever. So you understand, Gazans cannot leave and have no country. They're not allowed to trade, so they have no economy. And they're not allowed to cross the border on either side. So they're just stuck in a death camp. And we helped bomb we helped commit war crimes. But that was Biden and Trump both. There's no better than the other here. It's American policy. You follow American policy as the president usually. Trump's following the right-wing echo chamber policies, which is why they love him so much and trust him. The fictional problems that have been made up to radicalize Republican voters, because radicals vote. Republican radical voters. I know there's conservative Republicans. They harken back to Reagan. Well, Reagan was Trump in sheep's clothing. This is obvious. if you know what he did. What did he do? Started this. Top marginal tax rate when he took over was 70%. Now it's 25%. Who picks up the slack? The 55%. The working class, the 99.9%. This is why you are struggling. Not because we give some of that money, $3 a day, to an immigrant and food stamps to help them get started, which they don't qualify for once they start working. When they do start working, because that's what they came here, just like everybody else. Oh, they came to get free stuff. There's no free stuff. They're paying taxes. Everybody's paying taxes. Or gets a shit fucking wage. Everybody. 60% of the country's living paycheck to paycheck. Unsustainable. Disgusting. Raise the minimum wage. Minimum wage in Sweden is $25. They have free college and free health care. They report as the happiest nation on earth every year. Gee, I wonder if that's transferable. You mean like 1950s, 60s America, when we had immigrants but weren't, and we funded other countries and we took care of the people. The 60s when it was just a string of Democrats before they went corrupt. I get it. Clinton did the same bullshit. NAFTA just made. Now you can ship jobs overseas. Oh, that's interesting. So that's a favor for the corporations. Your whore is sold out. You pass the crime bill. Your whore that's sold out. Crime bill just did what the right-wing echo chamber made up was a problem. Solving fake problems for political gain is what this monster did. And then what he does in his personal life. Obama promised hope and change, and then the banks crashed the economy, their own fucking greed and negligence. And Obama rewarded them and gave them trillions over the next decade or whatever. He gave them all billions back to rebuild their people. Corporations are people that can't fail. They fall on their ass, they get bailed out by the working class tax dollars. For generations we'll be paying these bailouts. And they've happened every year since Reagan. And guess why? Because Reagan undid the act to put regulations on Wall Street so they couldn't do risky, crazy, profitable for them and their shareholders, yet dangerous and crash the economy and get millions of people kicked out of their homes, or hundreds of thousands of people, or tens of thousands of people, whatever it was a disaster. The homeless population has increased tenfold. And everyone looks at them and says they don't want to work. Just the negligence of the Wall Street and being taken advantage of because they weren't savvy enough to realize that they wouldn't be able to afford the house in London. Well, they could sell it. No, we're just taking it. You're done. You screwed up. You're punished. Corporations are rewarded. Those people don't fail. You fail. The real people fail. The fake people, right-wing echo chamber, Reagan, they fail. The 14th Amendment was used was created to protect the person in the country, not the citizen, the person. So any person in the country has the right to due process, including right that the right to the that's the law. So why is an immigrant not a person? An immigrant's not a person, but a corporation is. Oh, so it's used for the business class, this 14th Amendment, and it holds up because it's a corrupt court, the Supreme Court, who decides this. All these right-wing judges, all these Republican nominated judges, who gave you your abortion illusion, and does Trump's bidding. So they're just whores. They're just gross, negligent, power or ruling class whores who are Gilded Age winners, the winners of the Gilded Age, like Elon Musk, who just never, not a scientist, an engineer, none of this. The only thing he made is the damn the truck, the Cybertruck that he had to call back, and it's ugly and shit. There's not one person with any creative bone in their body that would make a truck look like that. That was his idea, because he's a moron. I want it to look more futuristic, like a terrible fucking 80s movie. He's a fucking moron. And that's his creation. Everything else was created by someone else. He just bought it. It all started with his parents' money. He bought PayPal because it handled money on the internet. He was savvy enough to realize that the government had created the internet and you could make profit off it. The government had created a new form of profit sharing, of profit gain. And that was simple. Who handles money on the internet? I'll just buy their company. Oh, I'm a genius. Jesus Christ. Because geniuses regurgitate shit to him and he kind of repeats it on a shit podcast. That's why he's a genius. And because he believes in the right way to echo chamber, so he makes you feel more comfortable. Makes half the country feel comfortable, and the other half the country just despises him. I'm not despising working class people that are Republicans. Please don't think that I'm doing that. I'm not despising moderates. Please don't think I'm doing that. I'm despising moderate Republicans who know better, moderate Democrats who know better, and the corporate liberal media, the moderate media, for convincing people that Bernie Sanders was not the safe choice, which is disturbing. This is a Peasant's Voice, artist and activist Justin John Sheck, a Peasant's Voice, artist activist Justin John Sheck. I got a new album coming out. That's coming August 1st. First single in real time is out July 4th. So it'll be on all streaming services and iTunes and, of course, my website. My website's where you can find the best price, justinsheck.com. That's where you can find the best price for everything. I cut price. You can name your own price for the album. I want as many people that own it as possible. I think 99 cents for the album, for the whole album, is the minimum. There's got to be some sort of transaction, I believe. But it's basically $0 to anyone who wants it. And you can preview the songs now. You can hear the first song on the album, the single in real time. July 4th, before you make any decisions. But all the proceeds to any purchases of the Blue Collar Diaries, which is the Evening Years, the 4 concept albums on the website. The Evening Years, Dance Songs for the Lonely, first one. Second one was Get in Line for Now. Third one was Sparrow's Dreams. That one's about my struggles with addiction and mental illness. And the fourth one was the spiritual album, A Peasant's Voice. A spiritual look at the state of America, kind of. I say spiritual, kind of. The new album coming out, Fast Addict, is coming August 1st, is a spiritual album as well. A spiritual look at the state of America under Trump. So I hope you'll check it out. And I hope today makes my mom happy. She's been upset that I've been so angry. I didn't handle Trump's winning very well. And the rollout I apologize for. I don't believe moderates who voted. I don't believe anyone who voted for Trump's a Nazi. I believe they're in danger of going along with some traumatic events they'll experience later on, and knowing that they allowed this dictatorship, this tyrannical takeover to happen. We're all being punished. We're all suffering. And it's sad. I hope things get better.